Quote of the week: courage is going from failure to failure without ever losing enthusiasm. So Winston Churchill. Good afternoon and welcome everybody. Good evening, wherever you are. It's Jason Barlow, RMT, and I'm here today as your therapist, as your coach, to help you transform any of that stress, tension, and pain. Do you have any of that? Into health, happiness, and vitality instead. What is it your body is trying to share with you? Very often people come to me with some kind of physical pain. But what is it that your body's actually trying to communicate with you? See, I firmly believe, and this has been my personal experience as well as my professional experience, that your body is giving you some form of communication. It's trying to get you to get things back in balance. Something's not balanced. Restore the balance. Continue to move forward in life. Now, what are the causes of those imbalances? Everybody's going to be slightly different. My experience, again, personally and professionally, very often it comes down to our mindset. I'm not saying it's the only. Some cases it is the only. And I've got a story about that in a moment I'll share with you. But usually it's a combination, okay? And what we've got to do is distinguish where is it, and I kind of associate it with 4 categories or 4 areas where you learn to control, or you can learn to control in your body and your mind. That is your mindset. It is your physical body, how you move it, stand, move, and stretch and so forth. Your diet, and then your rest and recovery. Now, I remember years ago, I had a patient who had chronic back pain, saw multiple therapies, and wasn't really getting success. She stopped coming in for treatment. Now, 4 or 5 years later, I saw her at a party and we were chatting, and I said, listen, I got to ask, how's your back doing? Because I remember you coming to see me in the chiro and you were feeling a little bit better during each treatment, but you'd come back and it was the same as it was before. She said, you know what? You guys did help a little bit, but all my back pain went away once my divorce went through. So we didn't know this at the time, but she was actually going through a very turbulent stage of her relationship, stage of her life, where she was experiencing this back pain as a result of all the emotional drive that was more than likely being experienced during this massive shift in her life. Because there were kids involved, and I don't know if it was amicable or not, but nevertheless, the point being is there was a separation, there was a change, there was an uncertainty, and her back was producing these symptoms. And so to me, it illustrated, and I've read countless. Another chiropractic friend shared once of a gentleman that came in, had some adjustment. It was assessment, first visit. He said, I don't know if there's anything you can do as a chiropractor, but the other thing I wanted to just bring up with you is I do have some cataracts on my eyes. You know, they just started developing the last number of months. She said, well, if you don't mind me being straight to the point with you, is what are you struggling to see in your life? To which he immediately answered. He didn't hesitate and said, well, actually, several months ago, I found out my wife had been cheating on me. And I'm trying to see if there's a way that we can move forward in our lives together or not. So here was another man experiencing this symptom in his eyes that was creating a pathology, an issue of vision, because he was struggling to see what his future would look like without his wife, and a change that was going to be coming in his life. So what I'm trying to share with you here is test this for yourself. If you're listening to this and going, no, I have very little to no stress in my life, then maybe what might be the cause of your physical pain is literally more of a mechanical physical causation. But don't underestimate the power of your mind. And this has been my journey in life, and that's why I love to share these messages with you, is do not underestimate the power of your mind. So this quote this week of courage is going from failure to failure without ever losing enthusiasm is a big one for me personally, which is why I love sharing it with you. This one is related to the fact that we in a society are we try to steer away from failing. We seem to be in this mindset where the only things that can happen are success, and we don't see the success in the failure, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And this has been my own personal experience. A year ago, crisis of COVID kicked in, business had to close down. What's this going to look like? What if we don't reopen? Is this the end of my business? All these unknowns. And for years, I'd been saying about writing a book. For years. But I always hesitated and frustrated, and I procrastinated, and I wondered, what's the point? I'm going to fail. It's going to be terrible, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, long story short, I finally took action. And there's a whole sequence of events that took place to get to that point. And maybe right now you're not at that stage where you're going to follow through with what I'm sharing, but hopefully this is just a seed, and it's the seeds that are most important because they're there. You just got to water them. And one day when the sun is shining brightly enough, it'll start to erupt through the soil. So courage is going from failure to failure without ever losing enthusiasm. So I sat and I started to write, and I didn't know what I was writing at first. And then eventually a framework came together. And eventually around that framework, I was actually starting to build the content. And over a period of time, and it was actually a very short period of time, once I got myself going after it, I produced a book. Now, there was more, obviously, scale to that in the sense of, having it edited, having it published, what that looked like, and where to go to do that, and so on and so forth. So the overall process was several months, but the actual completion of the book, I would say the content of that book was, I want to say within 6 weeks, I had that book done. And I was pushing through. I was experiencing failure. I kept thinking, no, this isn't right. No, this isn't right. And I just kept pushing through and pushing through and pushing through. And the same now when it's come to doing these videos and these podcasts, is I see how few people are listening at this point. And maybe at the time you're listening to this, and I'm hopeful and I'm wishing, maybe when you're listening to this, you'll be going, what are you talking about? He's got millions of subscribers and millions of followers. And that's wonderful. And that's my courage showing itself and not losing enthusiasm with 111 episodes in, and seeing that right now, there's very few people actually engaging, watching, listening to this content. I refuse to give up. I refuse to let go of this. This is something that I believe in. I'm going to stick it out. I'm just going to be persistent. And if nobody views it, then fine. You know what? Eventually, somebody will. And eventually, that one person, in fact, just even last week, somebody said, it wasn't a podcast, it was a YouTube video or stretch or something I commented about. And they said, I got to admit, I remember that. And I remember very clearly, it was pertinent at the time when I watched it. That's what it's all about, right? That serendipity, those moments in time where you stumble across this video, you stumble across that quote, you stumble across that person wearing a t-shirt that says, be kind, or you're taking a walk and they've got another one that says, be strong. There's all sorts that are giving these little signs of hope and opportunity and teaching you, if you take them on board and don't ignore them, don't neglect them, don't negate them. Just last week, I had a powerful experience, which led to several powerful experiences in the few days afterwards. And I hope it continues. It's been remarkable. And all I did through this experience was just let go of ego, let go of this idea that no, or that's not going to happen. Or, just let go of that garbage and just go with the first heartfelt feeling that you have. And especially if it's not harming other people, right? Follow that. Your body, your mind is so interrelated. So if we learn to listen to what our heart is actually speaking to us, and we actually acknowledge it, and we listen to it, we follow through, we don't hesitate, this is how we develop that courage to push through failure after failure without ever losing enthusiasm. And just think back to when you learned how to walk. You had courage of going from failure to failure when you would trip and fall over and over and over again. I doubt you would have achieved it even without the help of your parents, without the help of people around you, whatever that looked like. We wouldn't have survived if we didn't have kind people in our lives at that young age. We're pretty hopeless and helpless at that stage. We have drive, we have wish for living, but without others around us, it's very hard to learn how to walk, and especially that encouragement we get from our parents. It's the same wherever you're at, whatever your age you're at right now, is whatever failures you feel like you're going through, keep going through them. Keep failing. Keep failing. The very fact that you keep failing is actually a sign of your success. Now, if you keep doing the same thing and keep getting the same results, that's different. So you've got to make sure, and I'll bring this one up on the screen, I'll say it out loud for those of you listening in, is that we've got to follow this formula. We've got to take action. We've got to get feedback, but we have to make some corrections if we're not getting the results that we want. And again, at the end of that, I say, and this is from Winston Churchill also, never quit. So you've got to continue to keep cycling through action, feedback, correction, and never let go. Never quit. Never quit. Action, feedback, correction, and never quit. Now, am I saying that you're in a relationship where it's a harmful relationship and you never quit that relationship? No. What I'm saying is never quit on yourself within that relationship. Maybe the right action is, based on that feedback and correction, to leave, to depart from that relationship because it's not healthy for you, for your family, for your husband, for your partner, for your spouse, for your wife, whatever that relationship dynamic is. Maybe it's even at the workplace. What I'm saying here specifically about never quitting is never quitting on your potential to deal with adversity as and when it's coming up, because it's coming. And if it's not here now, it's a matter of time. It's coming. We all know the inevitabilities that arise in our life. So remember, courage is going from failure to failure without ever losing enthusiasm. I do hope you found that a benefit. Please share with me any comments, any thoughts. And also, there is an opportunity. You can share this with others. I want to spread this message just as much as possible. The more people that are able to hear these messages, the more benefit they're able to reap. And we get more of a world filled with healthy, happy energy. You know, one of the greatest ways to tackle any types of pathologies and viruses and diseases that are out there is to have a healthy, happy attitude towards and learn to distinguish between your body and your mind. Two very distinct things. Right now, they're like glue. And that takes time. That takes practice. And there's lots of ways to tackle that and do that. You want to know more? Then you got to tune in. Go get my book, by the way. It's still free. Not for much longer. jasonbarlowrmt.com. I'm signing off. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Remember this quote for the rest of your day. Think about it. Contemplate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.